Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Estoril for the second round of the Euroformula Open season. We kicked off in glorious sunshine yesterday with Harrison Scott claiming victory in the first race of the year. But who is going to triumph this afternoon? Well, we'll find out in the next 40 minutes or so. 19 laps await us around the Estoril circuit. This is the first of 8 stops around some of Europe's greatest tracks. Well, it's a warm welcome from Ben Evans from the commentary box here in Estoril, where the early rain that we had that made for a very, very wet qualifying session has fortunately blown away, although it's still fairly breezy and a little bit chilly. Certainly different conditions to those that were enjoyed yesterday. But despite the track being very damp in qualifying, the grid is not altogether dissimilar to the lineup that we had yesterday, with pole position the DriveX competitor Nikita Troitsky, who featured very strongly in race 1 until he picked up a broken nose cone whilst leading the race that eventually forced him into retirement. Starting from pole today, made a great getaway yesterday. Will he be able to take that through to victory? Race 1 winner then, Harrison Scott, lines up in second place in the RP Motorsport car. Scott, who was also to the fore of qualifying throughout most of the session, eventually being pipped by Troitsky by just 1/100th of a second late on. Row 2, and it's all Fortec Motorsports with the Russian Jan-Leon Schlom, who again showed strongly in race 1 before being forced into retirement. A very solid third place. And it's his German teammate Janis Fitcher, who lines up in 4th position, which is where he finished yesterday, having stayed out of trouble, whilst others very much found their way into it. It's going to be race 1 runner-up Amaya Weidenathan, who lines up in 5th. The Carlin Motorsport driver will be a little bit disappointed with 5th perhaps, but was in buoyant spirits after yesterday's race, and certainly feels that he's got the pace to run consistently at the front of the field for the season. Alex Karkozik for RP Motorsport eventually finished 10th yesterday, but didn't really reflect his race. He eventually had contact with Devlin Di Francesco, but certainly podium level pace from the Formula Golf race winner. 7th place for Campos Racing and Tiago Vivacqua. Vivacqua retiring on lap 2, having made a great start and being up at the very front of the field. But he's got a fair amount of racing to do through the pack. The same goes for Mateus Iorio, his teammate. But Iorio, starting from the 5th row of the grid yesterday, came through to finish in 3rd. This time round, he starts a row further forward. Can he finish a couple of places better? Well, he's certainly going to have to rely on a decent start. But the reigning Brazilian Formula 3 champion showing some fantastic racecraft and the ability to overtake where many others were struggling. So the signal being given to start the cars. Let's have a look at the grid in full then. Nikita Troitsky and Harrison Scott on the front row. Then all Fortec row 2, Jan-Leon Schlom and Janis Fitcher. Row 3, Amaya Weidenathan and Alex Karkozik ahead of the Brazilian Campos Racing teammates Tiago Vivacqua and Mateus Iorio. Row 5, Devlin Di Francesco, very quick Canadian rookie for Carlin, and Simo Laaksonen for Campos. Then Taryn Reddy and Christian Hahn rounding out the 6th row of the grid. Petru Florescu will hope to push through from 13th. And Pedro Cardozo's had a fairly wretched weekend, retired on that one yesterday, brought out the red flag in qualifying this morning. Eliseo Martinez Morono raced through the field very well. He's going to have to do the same again from 17th, ahead of Daniel Pranenko, and then Naji Ayad Razak completing the field. So a 19-lap race for the Euroformula Open, although if we do have a prolonged safety car period like we had yesterday, then we could revert to the 35-minute time limit. The drivers being waved off onto their green flag lap, the last opportunity to inspect the 13 turns of this Estoril circuit. And although it's not wet like it was in qualifying, we had so much rain coming down overnight and into the morning that I'd imagine that some of the rubber that had been laid down over the weekend may have been washed away a little bit, although there have been some subsequent support races since qualifying. So they come down through turns 1 into turn 2, all of them trying to get a little bit of heat into the control compound Michelin tire that they all run with, and then of course the drivers all in the Lara F312 chassis, powered by the Control Toyota engine supplied by the GT Sport organisation, with many of the other parts controlled by the championship promoters as well, it really does help to keep costs at an affordable level. I was talking to the Carlin Motorsport team principal, Trevor Carlin, this morning, and he was saying that the fact that it's the chance for drivers to step into Formula 3 machinery, but at a price point that makes it much more affordable for them, that has really attracted them to the championship. The same goes for Fortec, making really their first full season tilt at the Euroformula Open. It's a very different looking grid this year. Only Amaya Vaidyanathan and Daniel Pranenko were regulars in the 2016 campaign. Nikita Troitsky and Harrison Scott on the front row of the grid we both saw briefly last year. But the likes of Thiago Vivacqua, Matheus Iorio, all new faces to the series, all learning the tracks as well. Likewise for Devlin De Francesco and Taryn Reddy for Carlin, both of whom are stepping up from domestic racing in the United Kingdom. A bit of a kick sideways there for the Brazilian Christian Hahn in the second of the DriveX cars, and there's the white fluorescent nose cone BVM entry. Daniel Pranenko was unlucky to get tangled up with Pedro Cardoso yesterday. The Malaysian driver Najee Ayad Razak, another early retirement. So Nikita Troitsky bunching the field up through the Parabolica before he comes to line up on the grid. Devlin De Francesco about to head up to his fifth position, or fifth row position rather, for the start. And there is the SMP liveried car of Nikita Troitsky. Troitsky, who had great success in SMP Formula 4 a couple of years ago. Then last year, split his campaign between the Euroformula Open and Formula Renault 2 litre racing. Now committing to a full season in the Euroformula Open. And after yesterday's disappointment, we'll be hoping to get on to winning ways. He lines up in pole, and it's to the outside of the track, but it's the clean side of the circuit, and Harrison Scott, who will be second on the grid, is to the inside, but it's a little bit dirtier, so all eyes to the monitor in the DriveX pits. And this is now the interminable wait for Nikita Troitsky as everybody else rolls in to position. Daniel Pranenko and Najee Ayad Razak, the last couple of cars on the grid. The Malaysian to his marks. Got one car slightly out of position further back. Everybody in place now. So we get the green flag signalled, eyes to the gantry for the second time this year. About to go racing in the Euroformula Open. Revs rise, lights on, lights out, and away we go. It's a very good start from Matheus Iorio. Also well away is Harrison Scott, who could get the jump here on Nikita Troitsky, heading towards turn one. The Fortec cars of Schlom and Fitcher also dicing behind as they all dart through the first corner. A little bit crowded contact behind. It's Alex Karkozik who gets spun around as everybody else continues on their way downhill. Karkozik, the only one caught out, also damaged the nose of one of the Teo Martin Motorsport cars. And it's been a very good start as well for Thiago Vivacqua. He is up into fourth place in the Campos car. Vaidyanathan, Reddy and De Francesco, the three Carlin drivers, all bunched up, doing battle with Semo Larksonen. And there is a very, very frustrated Alex Karkozik. Fortunately not up to speed. Meanwhile, at the front field, it's Scott from Troitsky, then Schlom, Vivacqua, Fitcher, and then everybody else scrapping behind. I think it's Simo Laksonen in second of the Campos cars. Then Devlin De Francesco, and then Taryn Reddy just behind. So, actually losing out somewhat, would appear to be Amaya Vaidyanathan. We'll find out momentarily as they climb up through the chicane at turns 9 and 10, steeply uphill, slowing the cars down. And yes, there is one of the Carlin cars going very slowly, and it is Vaidyanathan. Got waved yellow flags through the Parabolica, and that means that the safety car is coming out. You can see the safety car board, I think, being displayed. No sign as yet. Yep. There we have it. So for the second day in succession, the safety car collects the field after the first lap of the race. So frustration for the DriveX team because Troitsky was just starting. Oh, and there's been an instant behind, and Daniel Pranenko has made contact with somebody as they all slowed for the safety car on the front of Pranenko's BVM car has been ripped away, and that is so frustrating for Pronenko and the BVM team. They have had 2 very early retirements from this weekend. It also means that we're going to have a somewhat prolonged safety car period as well. So the drivers that we have had involved in all of this on the first lap, Alex Karkozic and Javier Cobian, were the 2 I think who tangled on the first corner. Amaya Weidenathan and Mateus Iorio have had a coming together as well. They've both gone into the pits. And then Daniel Pronenko, we've lost on the start and finish straight. So unfortunately, slightly attritional start to proceedings. Hopefully some of those in the pits will be on their way fairly shortly. There is the work ongoing on Javier Cobian's car. And the Teo Marti Motorsport Mechanics, provided there's no suspension damage, have got the luxury of not having to rush that job, because Cobian will be able to rejoin. Weidenathan and Iorio have both rejoined the track. Now, here is another look at all the goings on into the first corner. And yeah, it's contact between Mateus Iorio and Alex Karkozic, and then contact behind with Javier Cobian. One of the Carlin cars, possibly Weidenathan. Cobian trying to, and then here is the incident behind, and yes, just thump. Daniel Pronenko, I think misreading the zigzagging. That is Ludovico Laurini, with whom he's made contact. So massively frustrating for Pronenko. The rest of them continue to circulate. The word is the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So it's just a solitary safety car period. There is the nose cone ripped asunder from the BVM car, Daniel Pronenko. Really disappointing for Pronenko, as now Harrison Scott bunches the field into the S's. He'll look to pull the pin now as they head towards the parabolica, and that's been well judged from Harrison Scott, trying to build a little bit of a buffer over Nikita Troitsky as they swing around the parabolica and get back up to speed and underway. Troitsky and Schlom have gone with him. Then we've got Vakwa, Fitcher, Simo Laaksonen, Devlin Di Francesco and the rest behind as they run in a train all the way down the start and finish straight. The road just drops away into the braking zone at turn 1. A little bit of jostling behind as Javier Cobian is going to rejoin right in the middle of this. Weidenathan and Iorio, you just caught a glimpse of at the back of the train, trying to fight their way through the field. As Harrison Scott trying to gap Nikita Troitsky. We've had an extra lap credited to us for the one we lost behind the safety car, so it becomes a 20-lap race as Janis Fitcher coming under all sorts of pressure from Simo Laaksonen, the Finnish driver Laaksonen, stepping up from the German Formula 4 Championship this year. Last year, where he's racing, of course, one of his rivals from the ACF 4 Championship. Fitcher finishing just ahead of Laaksonen in the title race. And they've got Devlin Di Francesco behind them. Francesco, not unlike Colton Herzer last year, showing some electrifying pace. Also learning the racecraft of these Formula 3 cars as he goes. There's Petru Florescu up into 8th place in Campos' car. He's got Taryn Reddy and Christian Hahn just behind him. Meanwhile, Eliseo Martinez Morono about to come under a little bit of pressure, one would suggest, from Mateus Iorio. And also they're on to terms with Naji Ayag Razak, and Razak makes the mistake coming out of the chicane. It allows Morono through. It may also open up the opportunity to the Campos car of Iorio. Pedro Cardoso also hoping to gain some ground for the race leader Harrison Scott. He's got a 1.3 second advantage over Nikita Troitsky. And if anything, Troitsky coming under a little bit of pressure from Jan-Leon Schlom. Then Thiago Vivacqua. It's all this sort out behind as Razak defends. Iorio one side, Cardoso to another, Morono and Weidenathan all part of it as well as they swing out of the first turn down towards turn 2. It's Weidenathan who's looking to try and gain the place on Pedro Cardoso. Oh, that's going to be a little bit tight as they head through turn 3, climb uphill. Weidenathan bobs and weaves. Cardoso doing the same. He looked to the inside of Razak. Razak sees him coming, gives him a little bit of space. We return to the fight at the front of the field, in particular the battle for second place. The SMP liveried DriveX car of Nikita Troitsky ahead of the Fortec entry of Jan-Leon Schlom. They have got the Campos car of Thiago Vivacqua trying to chase them down. They swoop downhill before swinging through turn 8. A little bit of a kick sideways from Schlom. That's not quite the quickest way to do it, as Lodovico Laurini has to call it a day. Suspect the rear of that car a little bit misaligned after the thump he received from Daniel Pronenko. Meanwhile, the front of the pack head around the Parabolica. It's been a good lap from Scott, a good lap from Troitsky, and it means that the Russian Troitsky is shaken off his compatriot Schlom. But Schlom, third place, not under immediate pressure from Thiago Vivacqua. And a bit of a gap back to Janis Fichtjä, Simo Laaksonen, and then Devlin De Francesco. So the race into its 5th lap, just starting to settle down. Some gaps going to open up amongst the front runners. There is Thiago Vivacqua, 6 podiums last year, on the way to 4th in the Brazilian Formula 3 Championship. But then the year before, he raced in Formula Renault 2 Litre competition in Europe, so he does know these tracks a little bit better than some of the other newcomers to the series in the race. There is the blue Carlin car of Devlin De Francesco, trying to get up to terms with Simo Laaksonen and Janis Fichtjä. He's got Petru Florescu chasing him down, then Tarun Reddy. And now Simo Laaksonen just looking to try and apply a little bit of pressure to Janis Fichtjä. No issues at all at the front of the field though for Harrison Scott. He is beginning to build up a fairly hefty advantage over Nikita Troitsky. Likewise, Troitsky has got a bit of a buffer back to Jan Leon Schlom. And Thiago Vivacqua, as yet in 4th, unable to really get onto terms with the Fortec driver. Leading Gagala cars all head out of the Parabolica, sprint along the start and finish straight, reel off their 5th lap. So just at 1/4 race distance. See the ripples in the road into turn 1. Heavy braking just causing the track over the years to start to crumple up a little bit. It's full commitment from Troitsky in 2nd, trying to gap Schlom. Schlom across line last time round. He was 1.3 seconds adrift of Troitsky. He was just over a second clear of Vivacqua. And then it's this gaggle of cars in the fight for 5th behind it. Janis Fichtjä, who leads it, the 17-year-old German, ahead of the 18-year-old Finnish driver Simo Laaksonen. Devlin De Francesco just chasing them. But nobody's going to be quite close enough to challenge as they hit the brakes into turn 6. Along the back stretch they've come. And then the road starts to fall away down into turn 7. Really tricky corner this. The camber just tries to feed the cars towards the outside of the road. 9th place for one of the 2 Indian drivers with the Carlin team. That's Tarun Reddy. He finished 6th in the British Formula 3 Championship last year. Several podiums along the way. And you can see there on the top of the Carlin car as well, the Forza Billy sticker in support of Billy Munger. Injured in that Formula 4 accident at Donington Park a few weeks ago, and lots of the cars throughout the field and drivers sporting stickers supporting him this weekend. It's a great show of strength really from the motorsport family. So the heat haze shimmers off the cars. They head towards turn 1. Now there's an opportunity here for De Francesco. He forces Laaksonen into a slight defensive move. Finnish driver just snatches a break as they headed through the first turn. It means immediately that Simo Laaksonen has lost a lot of ground to the 5th place car, Janis Fichtjä, and now there's an opening here for Devlin De Francesco. The Canadian-Italian driver, 17 years old, finished 5th in British Formula 4 last year. Finished on the podium and 1/3 of all of the races as well. So a very impressive prospect for the future, Devlin De Francesco. But as Simo Laaksonen starts to defend from it, it's also going to bring Petru Florescu behind into the mix as well. So the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th just starting to close up. 9th place, of course, is Tarun Reddy, and it's Christian Hahn who completes the top 10. In terms of the rookie podium, that's currently Nikita Troitsky leading it from Jan Leon Schlom, and then Janis Fichtjä on course to be the 3rd rookie. Still a lot of racing to go here, though, in Estoril. Relatively early stage of the race as the front runners climb sharply uphill. through the quick S's on towards the Parabolica. This is when the winter training starts to come into effect. The lateral G-forces through the corner, and that's been a good recovery from Simo Laaksonen on the course of that last lap. He somewhat dropped Devlin De Francesco. Just ahead, battle was starting to come together. Here's the race leader, Harrison Scott. In the background you can see Nikita Troitsky. Scott's lead over Troitsky now out to just shy of 3.5 seconds. Troitsky in turn 2 seconds clear of Jan-Leon Schlom, but then the fight for third, fourth and fifth is starting to close up. We'll catch a view of it in a moment. There you see, just at the back of your picture, that Schlom has got Thiago Vivacqua in the Campos car snapping at his heels as they come out of turn 4. There we go. So it's the Fortec car of Jan-Leon Schlom, the Russian driver, the Brazilian Thiago Vivacqua, making it 4 different teams in the top 4 places on the RP and DriveX cars. This is the fight for the final spot on the podium. Schlom runs a little bit wide through turn 6. They come down towards turn 7. This presents a little bit of an opening for Vivacqua. He just darts to the inside of Schlom, shows himself in his mirrors. But then as they come down through turn 7 into turn 8, Vivacqua can't threaten into turn 9. In fact, he snatches a break. You can see he's just slightly more economical with his racing lines compared to Schlom, whose car's moving about all over the place. And this Fitcher just behind. Now the key for Vivacqua is to get the good exit from the Parabolica. This is the right-hander that they enter now. They come to the end of the 8th lap of the race. Down the start and finish straight. Is Vivacqua close enough to challenge Schlom? The slipstream's going to help him a little bit, but he's still a car length adrift as they cross the start and finish line, go past the pit boards, and Vivacqua now closes. He's certainly going to force Schlom to defend. The Russian moves to the inside. The Brazilian keeps to the outside track. Schlom, though, covers the racing line. Now, can Vivacqua get a switch back? A cut through into turn 2. He certainly thinks about it. Again, Schlom defends, then moves back across. Claims the track position down through turn 2 into turn 3. Steep downhill braking. Driver's car moving around all the while, but as they battle, you can see it's bringing Janusz Fitcher, Simo Laaksonen and Devlin De Francesco all into this scrap as well for third position. It's also allowing Harrison Scott and Nikita Troitsky to comprehensively check out at the front of the field. So now, whichever way Thiago Vivacqua looks, he can see 4 tech cars. He's got one immediately in front of him, one just behind him, as once more running wide through turn 6 is Schlom. Means Vivacqua is certainly close enough to hassle into turn 7. The road slips away and then darting into turn 8, on the brakes into turn 9, climbing steeply uphill. Again, the Campos car of Vivacqua just seems that little bit crisper on turn in. De Francesco there working the wheel in 7th. He's part of this scrap. Schlom has had a reasonably good lap here in withstanding the pressure from Vivacqua. And it was Thiago Vivacqua who was just sliding a little bit midway through the Parabolica. So a long start and finish stretch they come once more. About to start the 10th lap of the race. Through they come. Vivacqua is too far adrift there for Schlom to really challenge on the brakes. He forces just a slight lock up from the Russian. So there's two Fortec, 2 Campos cars locked in battle. Car and entry of De Francesco watching behind. Jan-Leon Schlom using so much more road than Thiago Vivacqua's. Vivacqua tries to just force an opening as they head out of turn 4. Now this is a golden opportunity for the Brazilian. He's appreciably closer to Schlom as they swing out of turn 5, down the back stretch towards the hairpin at turn 6. Schlom covers the inside line. Vivacqua tries to sell him the dummy. Oh, and he snatches a break as well, Vivacqua, as he has to get the car stopped in time for the corner. Again, Schlom runs wide. They're going to come out almost side by side down the hill towards turn 7. Great scrap this. They bob and weave. Schlom snatches a break, and now Vivacqua's going to go through surely on next to turn 7. Finally, after several laps of trying, Thiago Vivacqua gains the position, and Janusz Fitcher's going to follow through as well. He makes contact with his teammate, and Schlom loses out in all directions as he loses momentum. Simo Laaksonen goes past, so does Devlin De Francesco, and Jan-Leon Schlom goes firing off the road as well through the S's. We just saw the snatch break and the car running out of road. So sadly, it would appear as if Schlom is out of proceedings. We'll find out momentarily as the leaders chalk up half race distance. Yep, yellow flag over on that side of the track. So the order is Scott, Troitsky, Vivacqua, then Yanis Fitcher in 4th, Simo Laxonen in 5th, Devlin De Francesco in 6th. Still this fight for 4th position continues. Now here is another look at what happened there. There was the first position that Schlom lost, and then there was a little bit of contact here between Schlom and Fitcher. Just a bash of wheels. Oh, now is that a wheel slightly out of line there on Schlom's car? Possibly. Applause on campus pit wall. It was then, as they went into the S's, we just saw that trail of tyre smoke, and on Schlom departing the circuit. But all of this is somewhat bunched up. The rest of the fight inside the top 10. It's now the turn of Yanis Fitcher in another of the Fortec cars to have to try and defend. Up through the chicane, and then in towards the S's. That's where the wage yellow flags are. It's just to the left of your picture where we lost Schlom last time around. They've just settled themselves down over the course of this last lap. So Harrison Scott has gone through. His lead over Nikita Troitsky, 5.4 seconds. Troitsky's advantage over Thiago Vivacqua just shy of 5 seconds as well. And then Vivacqua now a second clear of Yanis Fitcher in 4th place. Well, for Nikita Troitsky, it was almost a repeat of the start of yesterday's race, in that from pole position he got jumped by the second place car, the boot though being on the other foot. And thereafter, the Drive-X man's not really been able to stay in contention with Harrison Scott. All eyes to monitors in the Fortec pit box. It's Harrison Scott potentially on the cusp of claiming a double in the opening weekend of the year in the Euroformula Open, a feat we don't see that often. There is the car of Schlom, and you can see that damaged suspension that pitched him straight on at turn 12. That rather confirms probably what the Fortec team would have heard. So it was that side-on contact with Fitcher that did the damage. So now Simo Laxonen for Campos trying to get back onto terms with Yanis Fitcher, and for all these drivers, we're 20 minutes into the race, but now getting into the stage where this is potentially a longer race than some of them will have had before. They'll have done race runs, of course, during winter testing. They may well have participated in the Winter Series races as well. But fitness starts to come to the fore, particularly here at Estoril, which is such a busy circuit. Lots of changes of direction, lots of mid-speed corners, which have all got quite a lengthy radius as well, just putting pressure on the driver's leg muscles. Laxonen trying to close up to Francesco as well, in 6th position. Francesco, who finished outside of the points yesterday. Simo Laxonen didn't finish at all. Lined up behind Yanis Fitcher. It's quite interesting because as this race has worn on, both of the Fortec cars of Schlom and Fitcher just starting to struggle a little bit with understeer, possibly earlier than some of their rivals. That means that Yanis Fitcher once more has his mirrors absolutely filled with the progress of Simo Laxonen. Devlin De Francesco as well. If they keep scrapping, it might just allow Petru Florescu to close up into the scrap as well. Further down through the field, by the way, Amaya Vaidanaithan and Mateus Iorio, who pitted in on the first lap, they're now running in 9th place in the case of Iorio, 10th for Vaidanaithan, so they're both on course to recover some points from this one as well. Through the chicane. Still wave jelly flags over at turn 12. As you can see, the sky starting to turn a little bit ominous now. This was declared a wet race prior to the start, so if we were to have some precipitation, we certainly wouldn't be seeing proceedings being brought to a halt to allow the drivers to change tyres. So over the ripples in the road, you can see just how much of a buffeting the drivers get under braking into turn one. Of course, the suspension of these Euroformula Open cars very, very tightly sprung, and therefore it's really the drivers who absorb all the shocks in the car. It's now De Francesco starts to close up onto Simo Laaksonen. Still got a few laps to play with here. We're on the 14th lap of the race. So look at Harrison Scott working the wheel. And Scott, who started his career racing in British Formula Ford back in the not entirely loved EcoBoost era, before moving quite quickly to European competition in Formula Renault 2 litre racing, now stepping up to the Euroformula Open. Knows these European circuits a little bit better than some of his rivals. He's putting that experience to very, very good use. Climbing up through the chicane feature, just snatching a break on that occasion. Meanwhile, there is Matthias Iorio and Amaya Weidenheithen. Look at the progress that Iorio and Weidenheithen have been making. They're just getting onto terms now with Tarun Reddy in 8th place. And that last lap from Weidenheithen was only a 1/10 of a second away from that of the race leader Harrison Scott. Scott, his lead over Nikita Troitsky by the standards of the Euroformula Open is absolutely gigantic. 7.8 seconds he leads. Thiago Vivacqua just starting to chip away at Troitsky's advantage. So there is Amaya Weidenheithen in 10th place, running in pursuit of Matthias Iorio. Christian Hahn is 11th, Eliseo Martinez Morono in 12th, Pedro Cardozo in 13th, Nagiad Razak 14th, Javier Cobian in 15th. So the Campos team watching on. Can Thiago Vivacqua in 3rd? There he is. Do anything about Nikita Troitsky in 2nd? Vivacqua might have enough over Janis Vicia, particularly if Simo Laaksonen can start to engage the Fortec driver in battle once more. But there is, at the moment, quite an intriguing flip and flop of times at the front of the field. Again, a little kick sideways for Janis Vicia. Doesn't particularly delay him, doesn't give any sort of opening to Laaksonen. Likewise for Devlin De Francesco. There's not an awful lot that he can do about the cars in front. He's able to comfortably run with them. He's just not been able quite to craft an opportunity. He's coming through to the end of the 15th lap of the race. Just shy of 10 minutes left on the clock, so I think we should get through our lap allocation before we run out of time. And another appreciably slower lap there for Nikita Troitsky, and Thiago Vivacqua was a whole second quicker than Troitsky last time around, and is now just 3.3 seconds back, but at a rate of capture of a second a lap, then Troitsky's second position is not sorted just yet, and Vivacqua putting in an identical lap time to Vicia and Laaksonen just behind. So this is fascinating stuff. Here is Nikita Troitsky. There you see the way that that gap has just been steadily eroded. Troitsky fighting the wheel a little bit under turn in to turn 6. We've seen this a couple of times in the Euroformula Open, which is that if you go out too hot on the Michelin tyre, it does bite later in the race. Whether or not that's the case with Troitsky today, we'll find out. So 3.2 seconds is the gap between them at the start of the lap. Through the middle sector of the lap, Vivacqua took 0.4 of a second out of Troitsky, and so the gap down to just 2.8 seconds. Nervous times on the DriveX pit wall. So there's 4 laps to run here, and at this rate of capture, Troitsky might have Vivacqua looking to pressurise him before the end of the race. So across the line goes Troitsky. His lap a 1:36.6. Vivacqua a 1:36.2. So Vivacqua not having a brilliant final sector of the lap. It means the gap between the pair of them 2.8 seconds, as you see. Troitsky plunges downhill through turn 2. will shift to move down through the gears. Turn 3 before climbing uphill now. Meanwhile, here is Tarun Reddy under real pressure from Mateusz Iorio and Amaya Weidenheithen. This the battle for 8th, 9th and 10th place. And Iorio and Weidenheithen coming through from the very back of the field after a torrid first lap and making fantastic progress. Pick them up as they swing out of turn 5 at the back of the pitch now. Is Iorio going to be close enough to challenge Reddy at this moment? No, he's not. And Tarun doing a good job as well, just sticking to the racing line. He's going to make the Brazilian driver do all the hard work, but Iorio looks to draw alongside as they run downhill towards turn 7. Reddy tries to squeeze him out. Iorio sees that coming, thinks better of pulling a heroic move around the outside, looks for the cutback instead at turn 8, but the corner arrives too quickly on the brakes into turn 9. Again, he just forces Reddy to take a slightly tighter entry. Iorio might be able to apply a little bit of pressure through the S's into the Parabolica. Now this is going to be where Iorio is going to have to ask a lot of his tyres, because they head through the Parabolica. He's in the turbulent air of the car in front, but as they swing onto the start and finish straight, is Mateusz Iorio going to be close enough to challenge? Is Amaya Weidenheithen going to be close enough to challenge as well? Just 3 to go. This is the fight for 8th place. Some super battles all coming together in the last stage of the race, as Iorio has to defend here from Weidenheithen as they run downhill. Now the other challenge here, according to our timing screen, is there's just a few spots of rain being reported. You can see 1 or 2 dots on the camera lens. Simo Luxnen, Janis Fitcher and Devlin Di Francesco all start to come together as well in their fight for 4th. So we've got these 2 3-car trains providing us some great entertainment in the last stage of the race. Here's the fight for 4th position. It's been raging really throughout the entire race. And the clouds looking very, very dark. Sort of grey you'd often see on the Sisters of Mercy album cover rather than on the coast here in Portugal. So the last thing they want is a slightly heavier shower later on in the race. Up through the chicane. Di Francesco's got a good run here, in fact, on Simo Luxnen. Now this could be interesting for Di Francesco. Oh, Luxnen slightly offline. This is the point of the circuit where it's really slippery. You can see on the camera lens there's appreciably more precipitation than there was a lap ago. And oh yes, very tricky through the Parabolica. Big correction needed from Di Francesco. And we've got this rain through sector 3. 2 laps to go. Harrison Scott still leads 11.7 seconds clear of Nikita Troitsky in 2nd place. 3rd is Tiago Vivacqua. We're focusing on the fight for 4th, 5th and 6th. And then in 7th place, Petru Floresco, Tarun Reddy still keeping Iorio and Weidenheithen behind him. Lap and a half for this battle to resolve itself. As the breeze starts to stiffen, there is Nikita Troitsky. Gave away half a second actually to Tiago Vivacqua last time around. For all these drivers, it's this second half of the lap really where they're starting to see where it's slippery. Starting to see a little bit of a difference in the lines being taken as well. The drivers are just looking to find out where there's some grip, where they might just get a little bit more propulsion onto the following straights. Through the chicane. Slight puffs as they concertina up into the chicane. No change in the scrap for 8th. Harrison Scott has come through to start the last lap of the race. So ready into the Parabolica. Looks as if the rain may have even blown through already. So here is Harrison Scott, who has absolutely dominated the race today, and it really has been Scott's weekend. Pole position. Fastest lap today and potentially 2 race wins. So pole position for race 1 victory. Second on the grid for race 2. Looks like it's going to be race 2 victory and fastest lap. And Scott able to just build a very comfortable buffer over Nikita Troitsky. The RP Motorsport team will be very pleased with the progress of Harrison Scott, who's just got half a lap between himself and a fantastic double to start the Euroformula Open season. It's been a very long time since we've seen a driver dominate an opening weekend of the year like this, as Scott climbs uphill, gets the power down as he heads through turns 11 and 12 on towards the parabolica for the final time. It's been a magnificent performance, this, from Harrison Scott, as he heads through the final turn, accelerates onto the start and finish straight. He can see that the checker flag is about to appear, and there it is, and Harrison Scott does the double in the Euroformula Open in Estoril, to the delight of the RP Motorsport team. They start the season with a brace of victories. Second place and the rookie win goes the way of Nikita Troitsky. The DriveX team can celebrate with third being claimed by Thiago Vivacqua. Jonas Ficci makes it 2 fourth places for the weekend, and on the last lap Devlin De Francesco did get the jump on Simo Laxonen, so Laxonen slides to 6th, 7th to Florescu. Tarun Reddy takes 8th ahead of Mateus Iorio and Amaya Weidenheithen. Christian Hahn then across the line in 11th ahead of Eliseo Martinez Morono, and then Pedro Cardoso in 13th. 14th is going to be claimed by Naji Ayag-Razak, with Javier Corbillard into 15th. Well, there's not an awful lot more that Harrison Scott could have done today, because he got the jump on Troitsky off the line and has dominated thereafter. Look then at the classification. Scott takes the win and the fastest lap, and a margin of victory of almost 11.5 seconds from Nikita Troitsky, the rookie winner. Thiago Vivacqua completes the overall race podium, with Jonas Ficci, the second rookie, ahead of Devlin De Francesco, who'll complete the rookie rostrum. Simo Laxonen losing out on the last lap to finish 6th, ahead of Campos teammate Petru Florescu in 7th. And then Tarun Reddy withstanding a lot of pressure late on from Mateus Iorio and Amaya Weidenheithen, who completes the top 10. Christian Hahn then just outside the points in 11th from Eliseo Martinez Morono, Pedro Cardoso, Naji Ayag-Razak and Javier Corbillard. Jan-Leon Schlom has had great pace this weekend, very unlucky to have 2 retirements to show for his efforts. So 2 races into the championship, and already Harrison Scott over a race win his advantage. Jonas Ficci then in second place from Weidenheithen and Troitsky, with Iorio and Vivacqua, I expect, likely to challenge as the season unfolds. And now the rain really coming down on the drivers, slowing down that back to the pits. And I think we're very fortunate that the rain didn't arrive a couple of moments sooner, because we got to enjoy a race in largely dry conditions. As Harrison Scott rolls into Parc Ferme, you can hear the applause of the RP Motorsport team. They have started the season in the best possible way. Scott clips himself, unhooks the steering wheel, clambers out of the RP Motorsport car, and then does the obligatory nose stand to celebrate victory in the Euroformula Open in Estoril. A very solid second place for Nikita Troitsky, maybe not quite what he'd have hoped for from pole position, but after yesterday's disappointment, bouncing back with a very solid podium finish sets him up well for the rest of the season. And then Thiago Vivacqua, tenacious drive up to 3rd place.
Oh. Come on.
I saw you did it in the first lap.
Understeer a little bit, but
a little bit of a debrief from Vivacqua, just saying he was dealing with a little bit of understeer, but nonetheless, impressive debut weekend in the Euroformula Open for the Brazilian. And they now all have 4 weeks to wait until the 27th and 28th of May, when the championship has its 3rd and 4th race of the year at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Harrison Scott, I won't make the lapses twice, but you did it twice today.
Yes, no, very good race. Obviously, this morning we qualified second. And yeah, obviously we worked hard last night to make sure that I didn't repeat the start that I did yesterday. So yeah, got off the line really well, got Nikita into turn one, which was perfect really. Then I thought, right, this is the best time to kind of get into my groove and make a gap. But obviously the safety car come out. But luckily I made a really good restart, made a bit of a gap. And yeah, from then I just plucked away, being nice and consistent, putting the lap times in, and yeah, just fantastic result for me, myself, and obviously the RP team. We've worked really hard all weekend, and it's great to get the 2 wins for them.
And it looks good in the overall standings.
Yes, definitely. Obviously, the perfect weekend. Really, obviously a pole, 2 wins. Can't get much better than that.
Good. Well done. All the best.
Start to race 2. Harrison Scott jumped poleman Nikita Troitsky as the field accelerated towards turn 1 with a strong start from the all-Fortet row 2 of Jan Leon Schlom and Janis Vicia, but it was Scott who led the way from Troitsky, and Schlom was behind. There was contact between Mateusz Iorio and Alex Karkozik. It was the Polish driver Karkozik losing out in his race after a single corner. Contact further behind also put Javier Cobian into the pits and brought the safety car out. When we did resume, Schlom was under a lot of pressure in 3rd place and eventually had to concede after several laps of trying to Vivacqua. At the following turn, Janis Vicia then tried to make a pass on his Fortec teammate, and that contact was sufficient to damage Schlom's suspension and put him out of proceedings. At the front of the field though, Harrison Scott was in total command of the race and came through to score a dominant victory, meaning that he gets the clean sweep of wins for the opening weekend of the Euroformula Open season. Nikita Troitsky, a very solid 2nd place and rookie victory from Tiago Vivacqua, with Janis Vicia having 2 second places to his credit, and Devlin DeFrancesco completing the rookie podium in race 2. So on to a slightly sodden podium for Vivacqua, Troitsky and Scott. British national anthem ringing out twice this weekend in Estoril after Harrison Scott sweeps the victories, and for RP Motorsport as well. Very impressive double race win weekend. So 3rd place for Tiago Vivacqua, runner-up Nikita Troitsky for DriveX, and then hope that Harrison Scott has booked a suitcase for the flight home, because he's going to need one with 2 trophies for victory here in Estoril and a very comfortable championship lead as we head towards Spa on the 27th and 28th of May. Likewise for RP Motorsport. Plenty for them to celebrate. So on to the top step of the rostrum. Time to pose for the photos. And then a chance to make merry with the bubbly and celebrate what's been an excellent way to open the Euroformula Open season here in Estoril. Vivacqua and Troitsky enjoying the moment. And then running off in pursuit of Harrison Scott. We now turn our attention to the rookie podium. And again, some super dicing amongst the rookies, not least the excellent fight that we had for 4th position.
1 month or something? Yeah, 1 month. Yeah, 2 months. 4 weeks.
So DeFrancesco and Vicia waiting to be announced up onto the rostrum. Really good, hard-fought scrap between them. And also Simo Laxonen losing out to Devlin DeFrancesco on the last lap of the race. So third rookie for Carlin Motorsport, Devlin DiFrancesco. Runner-up, Janusz Vitia for Fortec, and then Nikita Troitsky for DriveX onto the top step of the rookie rostrum. It's been a wonderful weekend of racing to open the Euroformula Open season here in Estoril. We now have a pause for 4 weeks before the 27th and 28th of May, when the action will resume at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, which always lends itself to some brilliant dicing. So it's goodbye from Estoril. We'll see you in Spa.